Open your Google Analytics property and hit Explore. Select the Funnel Exploration type. Once you do that, this report would be automatically created for you and it will consist these steps. So let's actually take a step back and break down the report in simple steps. The left-hand side menu, there is the variable section or the mega report, as this is what I'd like to call it, because in here you can basically include any dimensions and matrices that you want to include in several tabs. So for example, you can only use event name and gender within this tab, and then you can just create another report or tab from here, from this plus icon, and include another dimensions that you haven't included in this first tab in this funnel report. So if you want to get more in depth and get full understanding on this section, I have a dedicated video that shows you all the details about custom reports in Google Analytics and how you can use them. So I'll leave the link to that video in the comments. But for now, let's actually check the funnel report itself. So in here, we have the technique, which is the report type. It is saying funnel exploration because this is a funnel report. If you click on this, you would see other type of reports. I also have covered the freeform and cohort exploration in one of my recent videos. I'll leave the link to these videos as well in the description and comments. Then we have the visualization type. We just have two type of visualization here. So standard funnel and then trended funnel. If we click on the trended funnel, for example, what will happen is that a report will look different now. So it will be no longer a funnel and it will be in this interface where you can see all the events, or you can just check each step from the report. So for now, it makes sense to have the standard funnel. There is an option here to mark this or make it as an open funnel. Let's skip this for now. We'll revisit later in the video. And also let's skip the segment comparison as well. Now we are in the most important part of the report, the steps. So you can include the steps that the user goes to. So for example, in this report, the first step here is when the user first opens the website, when then they have an event called session start, when they view landing page, and then when they purchase. If we want to get more details on how this report is configured, we can just click on this pencil icon and we would be able to see all of the configurations or the settings that this funnel report is using. So for example, here it is using an event name of first open or first visit, and then it is using in step 2 session start, and then a screen or page view. It is basically using the page view event or screen view event and so on for the purchase event. So it makes sense for our case just like to change this a little bit to make it more compelling. So let's actually remove this step by just clicking on these three dots. So let's remove step, remove step, remove step, and now let's actually remove this as well. Let's create this from scratch. So let's call our step here session start, or actually page view, and let's do page view as the event. So this means that the funnel report will include users who triggered the page view event. Now let's add another step, and before that, mind that on the right hand side menu or the right hand side part of the screen, we are now seeing how many users would be included within the funnel report. So let's add another step now and see how this looks. So click on add step. And then from here, let's say we want to trigger this or include in the second step of the funnel users who views an item. So let's name this viewed item, and then we can just type the view item event, and we can actually make this for a specific item. And before I continue, mind that on the right hand side graph, the number have now decreased to this number because the segment or the funnel is now being more tighter. Think of these as a conditions. So we have here, the first condition is page view, second condition is view item. We can also add another layer here. We can select anything that is available in here. So for example, we can select item ID, and we can just do exactly matches and type the item ID that we want to filter the data based on. But since this is public Google Analytics for property, I don't have much details about item IDs or product names, so it makes sense that you use it on your website. But for now, or for this video, I won't be using it. Let's add another step for this report. So let's do add another step. Let's do add to cart, so ATC, and let's also add purchase. Now, as you can see, the segment now is super low compared to the original number that we have seen when we use the page view. So if we just hit apply, what will happen is that the steps naming conventions would be different now to reflect the names that we have picked, and the data will now start looking more different as these are total new matrices. Before we go through the report, let's actually go back and touch base on something that I haven't covered. So in any of these steps, there are couple of different options that you can utilize. So first, you can do an AND condition. So for example, the step 1 here is basically page view. You can also add and then you can add anything that you want. So for example, if you want to add the landing page and query string, you can do that. This means that when the page view event is triggered and the landing page is exactly matches, and then select the specific pages where you want to use as a condition. So it's really helpful if you want to look at the specific landing pages that the user navigates to in this example. And again, these are just example. You can get tons of use cases of just like implementing that. But for us, let's actually remove that as it's not needed. If you also click on these 3 dots, you can copy the step for easier access, remove the step, remove a step above or step below. And you can also control the timing of each event. So for example, this here is by default say is indirectly followed by, and then the event or the step that you want. So if you click on this, you can also have another option which says is directly followed by. You can also set up a specific time for between each step and the other, so users can be included or excluded in the funnel. So if you enable this, you can now check how many minutes, days, hours, or seconds that user should perform that action within it, so they are included inside the report. But for us, let's actually exclude that and go back to the report. If you are still watching, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, as this motivates me to create more content and help me reach out more people. Now what we can do is adding a breakdown. So by default, there is a breakdown that is added here, which is the device category. This is the first step, and now the device category is desktop, and this is how many users that are in the first step, the completion rate, abandonment, and abandonment rate. If you also hovered above each step, you would get some details or the numbers of the users that were included in each step. So you can also change that. So if you just remove it and then selected any of these in here or added a new dimension. So for example, if you added a landing page dimension, you can then double click on it and it will automatically be added to the report. And now you get a breakdown by landing page instead of the device category. Shows rows by dimension, just basically adds or limits the rows that you're seeing for each step. So if we included that to 10, for example, we would get 10 results for each step. But let's now use 5, as this now screws a little bit the report. And let's now enable the show elapsed time feature and see what it does. So if when we enable this feature, a new column would be added, which is elapsed time. And it basically shows you the elapsed time between a step to the other. So for example, here it took users this time to come from the first step to the second step for the home page, as this is the slash and it's for the home page. And for this page, it took them 7 hours and 35 minutes, and so on for the next events. If you also hovered above each step in the report, you should be able to see the elapsed time. The next feature is next action. And what this feature does, it shows you basically the next action that the user performs after a specific funnel step. So for example, if you just added the event name over here and then hovered above any step of report, you will see the top 5 next actions. This means that after users that are in step 2 in the viewed item step, after they complete the step, the top 5 actions after that is view item list, page view, add to cart, or scroll, or no next action. If you're not confident about your analytics and tracking knowledge, especially when someone asks you to create a specific report using Google Analytics 4, or even testing your Facebook tracking, or creating a custom event for Google Analytics 4, or a custom dimension or metric, I highly recommend taking my analytics confidence blueprint, where I teach you how to use Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Shopify tracking, consent setup, server-side tracking, and you get direct access to me. You get 1 hour weekly with me. Plus to that, you get access to my web analytics community, where you can just post about any tracking issue or anything regarding marketing analytics, and I'll personally jump in and help. Join over than 50 marketers, analysts, and business owners trying to making sense of their analytics again. If this sounds good, I'll leave the link to my web analytics community in the description. Feel free to check it out or reach out to me if you have any questions. Now let's touch base on the make open funnel feature. So by default, this is called closed funnel. And when you toggle this toggle, you will make this report an open funnel. And what you will notice most often is that you're now seeing more data. Let's actually take a step back and explain what is an open funnel and closed funnel. So let me give you an example on a closed funnel first. So let's say a user goes to the website, triggered the page view event, viewed an item, add that item to the cart, and then purchased. And these events all fired for the same users in this same sequence. In this case, the user would be included in all funnel steps. But let's say the user did go to the website, triggered the page view, viewed an item, but then purchased. In this case, that user data would be included in the first step, second step, but it wouldn't be included in the third or the final step. The closed funnel are very strict, and Google Analytics will include the user data that is specifically completed the funnel step that we have configured in our report. Now for open funnel, if we have that option toggle over here, when this is enabled, Google Analytics will be a bit loose when it comes to including the users to the funnel report. Like the last example that we have gave, that user data would be also included with the open funnel option. But here's the thing. Let's say the user didn't specifically started the funnel in the first step, like the user didn't trigger the page view event, and the user triggered the add to cart event as a first event. With the open funnel, that user data would be actually included inside the report. So we would be able to see user data here, and if the user right after that placed the purchase, we would be able to see the user for the purchase step. And similarly, if that user entered the report from the first step and skipped any step in the middle and then performed the last action or any action and skipped any of the middle steps, that user data wouldn't be included after he or she skips any step. The user would still need to complete all the steps like in the same sequence, but they can, with the open funnel, skip for step 1, step 2, or any step from the funnel and then perform the specific events in the following sequence. So to sum up, closed funnel are very strict. Users would need to enter or trigger all the funnel steps in order to get included inside the funnel report. With open funnel, it is still strict but a bit loose. The users can enter the funnel at any step, but they will need to have the events right after they entered in the same sequence. They can't skip any event right after that. The last thing we have in the funnel report is segments. So you can also break down this report by some segments. We have a pre-built segments over here for paid traffic and mobile traffic and tablet traffic. So let's actually use 2 of these. So let's do mobile traffic and then let's do tablet traffic and see what happens. We'll have now 2 colors appearing in our report. We have this bluish color. This represents the mobile traffic, and you can see the segment has the same color over here, and then this other color shows the tablet traffic. So this tells us that the tablet traffic is much more lower in here. If you want also to create segments, you can just click on this plus icon and create a new segment. If you are not sure how to create a segment, the video that I left in the description and talked about earlier in the video includes all the details on how you can do that. But for us, let's go now back and check the table itself. You would also see a new column appearing in here, and it is saying mobile traffic and then stating all the numbers. And if we scroll a bit down, we can see the tablet traffic for the same step, and it shows all the steps separately. If you want to have this report with your other reports, you just need to open the report. And by the way, that's some other property where I have admin access, since I do not have an admin or edit access on the Google Analytics for property that we were just checking out. So this is another property where I have an admin access to. Click on this button, save as a report in the library, and name it. So I'm just gonna leave it with the same name and hit save. Now let's go back to the reports section and select the library option down here. And then let's say I want to add this new report in the engagement with the engagement reports. So I'll just need to find this here. So I'm just gonna expand it, and under life cycle there is an engagement. Here is that engagement tab. So let's hit edit, and now let's look for our report. So that's the name that it was saved with. And now let's scroll down a bit, and let's say we want to add the report in here. So just drag this report and add it here, hit save, and make sure to save this to the current selection or current collection, as if you select this option it will create a duplicate of your report. So let's hit that and let's go back, and the report is in here. Once you click on it, you'll get also the option to mark this as an open funnel if you would like, or just leave it as is and have it as closed file. You can also add some filters to this report if you need. So from here, click add filter and then select a dimension. Let's say we want to filter for a specific gender. So let's select gender and then exactly matches. And let's select female. Hit apply. Once we do that, it will include all the female gender inside our report. Right now, this report doesn't have much data, so that's why it's not showing anything. And this is just a use case. You can do whatever you'd like. Let's say you want to include data for a specific country, region, or any other available dimension inside property, you can select it and use it. Similarly, if you create this in the exploration section or in a custom report, you can also have a filter applied. So inside the report that we just had open, you can find the filters down here. So click on the plus icon, and then you can select any dimension inside the property, but you need to make sure that it is added to the mega section of the report, and you can just use it. So for example, let's here use country, exactly matches, and then let's do United States. Again, since this is the property, not much data in here, so that's the only country that I have on that property. So had to apply, and then this would also be applied to the report. You can also add multiple filters to the report if you would like. And that's it. That was Ahmed from Analytics with Ahmed. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with a colleague or a friend who might find it helpful. I'm wishing you a happy new year ahead. This is the first video of 2026. Wishing you all the best. And yeah, see you in the next video.